and it should be streaming. It looks like it is. And so Ashley, I want to say thank you and welcome for joining us. I know we both had this like little sliver of time over our lunch breaks to chat, and I've been wanting to do this ever since you were starting your new business. And I thought it would be so helpful for people to meet you and hear your story, what you're doing, because I think it's pretty awesome too. So I don't know if you don't mind introducing yourself first.
Sure. Awesome. Yeah. So hi, I'm Ashley. I am a neuro PT out in Arizona. I've been out here almost 2 years now. I'm from the East Coast originally, and I came out for the sunshine. I graduated from Boston University in 2018. And then I did a residency at Mass General to specialize in neurology. I knew right when I took my first neuro class, like learning neuroanatomy, I was like, I know I love this. I was like, this is so fun. It's so challenging. And so I knew I wanted to do a residency too, just because I really wanted that in-depth knowledge. And then I completed my residency, became an NCS, and then came out here. And I've been practicing in outpatient private practice here for about a year, but now I'm moving on to my own and starting my own private practice out here, actually, where I'm going to specialize mostly in the treatment of FND.
Yay! So needed.
Yeah, so
it is FND Awareness Month, and like even the thought of having a practice that specialized in FND even a few years ago would been like, what are you even talking about? Right. So I think it's so needed. And tell me a little bit about the name of your business and why you chose that too, because that also is a special interest of mine.
Yeah, so it's the Somatic PT, which is for me something that's really interesting in my own recovery and healing. I discovered this kind of therapy called somatic experiencing, and it's this really body oriented processing with regulating nervous system arousal. It worked beautifully for me where I had so many roadblocks in my own healing. I started somatic work and I was like, whoa, this is so helpful for me. But also I was like, as I'm going through it myself, I was like, this would be really helpful for my patients who have FND. And so naturally I was like, I want to learn this to be able to help other people do it. And so that's really what I want to be able to do with my FND people is a combination of PT and that somatic body work, where we're really working on body sensation, feeling, arousal, nervous system regulation, those kinds of things.
Yeah, that's so awesome. And probably, as you know, too, like that's a personal passion of mine down my own healing journey. Have been working with a somatic experiencing therapist. And I was like, this is where physical therapy meets psychology. And it's so fascinating from just a brain standpoint. But yeah, just like a truly integrated way. So that's why I'm like so excited about for you and for this business. I'm excited to know you as well. And we met each other through Brain Bites, and I feel so lucky that the community of people I'm around, I've met through these opportunities. So I'm really curious about why you joined Brain Bites.
So I joined Brain Bites one day at work. Somebody was like, do you know Julie Hirschberg? And I'm like, no. And they were like, oh my gosh, you have to check her out. Like you will love her. You know, they were like, you guys have similar energy. And I'm like, okay. So I immediately checked it out. And I think that night I saw Brain Bites and I was like, I'm sold. I was like, she is doing what I want to do and helping others do that. And it's this whole community of people who love neuro and love complex neuro. And that's like what I'm drawn to. And so I was like, oh my goodness, there's a whole group of us out there. I had it in my residency and it was awesome, but now I wasn't in a residency. So I didn't have that group of people to be like, hey, I have this really hard case. What do you think? And I felt so sad without that. But then I was like, the idea of having a supportive community who gets it, I was like, so sold immediately. It was the best decision.
I feel so thankful that your coworkers were like, have you met her? Because I do feel like we have similar souls and and interests, and so do, not that everybody in our community is the same by any means. We all work in different locations and bring a lot of different expertise and passions. But I was really like you after my residency too. I was like, I miss this. I miss
Right.
having a community. And it's funny, we actually have a lot of like post-residency folks in our group. We also have people who never had the opportunity maybe to do a
Right.
residency, and this is kind of like that extra mentoring and learning that they're doing. And I'm curious also what part of it, because there's many different parts of Brain Bites, what has been most impactful for you and maybe for your patients?
I think the framework that you guys are developing for breaking down complex cases is so salient and needed. In school, we get the ICF model, which I love, but it has its limitations and it really didn't help me direct my treatment. But what really drew me, like, I love clinical reasoning, and I love when people can explain their clinical reasoning in a really sound way. And that for me is what you guys do. Of, I have these thoughts, but then actually being able to verbalize them and put them in a really organized manner. That's what you guys do. And for me, that's really impactful because it helped me break down a lot of complex cases on my own. And so I needed less help from other people if I could independently use this framework to kind of work through my complex cases. And I also could show how we were breaking it down. Like some of the pie charts I'll actually do with my patients so they can see and understand what I'm looking at. And that I've gotten feedback from my patients. They're like, nobody's ever done this before. That's so new, but extremely helpful for them to see the multifaceted approach that we need to take. And the outcomes when I do that are just way better. I mean, they're getting better faster, and they're just getting better in general.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, and that's like literally why we created it, because we've been doing this in our own clinical practice and going, this is really helpful. And I also am a clinical decision-making nerd and just love to find ways, and it keeps evolving, right? Like, you've been with us enough that like, oh, well, this also is really helpful. We might like tweak things and add changes to it. And and you've been a part of all of the things, I know. So because we have, as part of Brain Bites, we have our mini courses that are part of our fellowship. We have some special business sessions, like you're showing up to those with you starting a business too. We have our special mentor sessions with Mike Studer and Beth Fisher. I'm curious, like, how some of those pieces of it maybe have influenced you or your patients.
I mean, I remember my first Brain Bites interaction was, I think the month theme was F&D maybe. And I actually got, I presented one of my really complex cases, and it was awesome. I had help breaking down a case that was F&D and dystonia, a little ortho in there, some CRPS, the whole thing, and actually broke it down and had intervention ideas, like a whole list of them for the next day. And I was like, what? Like, that is amazing. I was like, that is so fun. So little things like that, where I can go to something at night, one of the lectures at night, and then the next day I have new ideas. I mean, that's just amazing. The business mentoring session was part of what made me choose to like have the confidence to go on my own. I was like, oh, she started this as her sole person. I was like, okay, I could do that too. And so it really inspired me and broke it down in a really salient way that I was like, oh, I understand this and think I could actually do that. So a big portion of why I am where I am right now is to, because of Brain Bites.
I feel like you're going to make me cry.
Yeah.
No, that's just really so amazing. We didn't set out for Brain Bites to be kind of business oriented. But as you know, we have a lot of new business owners, also people with a lot of experience, and bringing them together has been really like so helpful for me too. It's like a business support group. And that is one of the things that we're actually adding on to Brain Bites is a little business track, because of people like you and many others who are like, we're starting, we have questions. And I just think like having that support amongst each other to kind of grow, because running a neuro practice is different than running kind of an orthopedic practice or a pediatric practice, or any of them. Then the niches are very specific and there's specific challenges to them. So I'm really excited. I'm so excited for you to be going on this journey into your own business too, in such a needed way. And that's where I think that's the most amazing thing about this community, is that ripple effect, that if you imagine all 100 of us impacting hundreds of clients, like that's amazing to me, that many more people with FND have access to care for somebody that really understands, or other complex cases and things like that. I think that really blows me away. So I'm so thankful.
We're elevating healthcare too. So the standard is going to be higher the more of us that are doing this, which is just so awesome. Like it's really changing how PT is delivered, and like how great PT can be and how different it might be than what people imagine it to be. Using some of this stuff is just really cool. So then again, more and more people getting helped, more and more patients getting better. It's awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome. And what you're doing is just fantastic, particularly bringing in that your own personal experience through things, and then taking that the next level and learning it yourself in those somatic practices. Like you're going to just be changing lives left and right. I mean, you already are, Ashley, but I'm so excited for this. And if people want to find you, what's the best way to do that for your new business?
Starting out, probably my Instagram, and then my Facebook. Those are my two big things. And then my website's in development. So
yeah. So you're at the Somatic PT on Instagram.
Yep.
And is that the same on Facebook too?
Yep. The link on Facebook though is AZ Somatic PT.
Okay. AZ Somatic PT. Awesome. So you should follow Ashley, and definitely, Ashley's going to be our #1 referral source in Arizona too, when people reach out. So great to have you in this community, and thanks for taking time today to share what you're doing.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you for having me. I'm always ranting about this. Gives me a place to get all my ranting out.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Ashley. Well, have a great rest of your day, and thanks for sharing and inspiring us.
Yes. Awesome. Have a good one. Bye.
You too. Bye.